Hey you guys, aloha. How are you? Okay, so today I have my oahu hat on, oahune hat on, and so today I would like to find and tell you about another interesting connection between Japan and Hawaii. So the other day, this is quite a while back. I don't know if you remember this, but do you guys remember this? It goes, Jira changing Kikaida. You guys remember this? Kikaida. Okay? This story is about Kikaida. The other day, I was talking to my friend from Hawaii, and she was telling me, she lives in California now, and she was telling me, hey, Ruthie, so we had an exhibition of like Japanese superheroes at the San Francisco airport. Okay? And I went to go check it out, all right? And it had Ultraman, it had Kamen Rider, it had, I guess, maybe superhero Godzilla, right? So it had all the kind superheroes. But she said, there was no Kikaida. Why is there no Kikaida? I didn't know either. So when I came to Japan first time, I'm like thinking, oh, Kikaida, you know, change, switch on. 1, 2, 3, ta! I mean, we all watched that when we were little in Hawaii, right? You guys, you remember that, right? Turns out that was only 1 year of shows. So in Japan, how do I even explain this? In Japan, Kikaida is actually not that major. The major one is Ultraman, from my perspective. And then, you know, there's other ones too. But Kikaida is like, if you know Kikaida, if you know Jinzo Ningen Kikaida, you're cool, okay? And I didn't know that. So for the longest time, I really didn't mention it. I didn't see Kikaida anywhere. I was always wondering, you know, I wonder where Kikaida came from. I thought, because I knew it was Japanese. And so one day when I was doing a speech, because I do a lot of speeches here about how there's a lot of Japanese stuff that I learned in Hawaii, or maybe one of the reasons why it was a little bit easier for me to catch on to Japanese was because when I was little, we used to watch this show called Kikaida, and it was all in Japanese, and I don't remember it having any kind of like subtitles or something, and all of us would go home like every Wednesday at 2 p.m., make sure to watch Kikaida. It was like our favorite show, and I mean, it seemed to me like I watched it every year for like 5 years. Turns out, when I spoke to the guy from Asahi who actually distributed the show, they said there was only 1 year of shows. So all of us over there, we must have watched the same shows many times. I don't remember, but anyway. So I would say that when I went to university in the mainland, and I studied German first, and I could not get German at all. It was really hard for me. And then suddenly I'm like, wait a minute. When I was little, I used to watch Kikaida. You know, my friend's grandma used to make andagi. I mean, why don't I try Japanese? So I went and took the Japanese class, yeah? And I go in Japanese, and the Japanese teacher is there, like full-on Japanese from Japan, Japanese teacher is there. And she's saying, okay, I know, everybody, all you guys, please repeat after me. Da-dee-doo-de-do, right? And I would say, da-dee-doo-de-do. And all my other friends who were from the mainland would be like, like didn't know how to do the you know, ra sound. And I was like, dude, oh my gosh, I might have an advantage. I might have a little advantage thanks to Kikaida. So anyway, I came back to Japan. I started working over here. And when I was doing my speech, I said this, I tell the same story, that one of the reasons I think I got the Rari-ru-de-do pretty quickly is because when I was little, in like elementary intermediate school, we were so like in love with Kikaida, Jiro, and what's his name? The Dark. And he's scary. And somebody plays the flute, and Jiro goes, oh, my head hurts, you know. I had no idea what the story was. But I would say that, and I would say, even though we didn't speak any Japanese, we were all watching that show going, Jiro changing Kikaida. And then I noticed everybody in the audience that's my age starts singing along with me, okay? So it turns out people in Japan know Kikaida, but for them, it wasn't known as the most famous superhero, but it's like a beloved story. So it turns out that Jinzo Ningen Kikaida, Jinzo Ningen, Jinzo means artificial, Jinzo man-made, Jinzo Ningen Kikaida, man-made human Kikaida. Kikai means machine, da means that. Oh, man-made Jinzo Ningen, man-made human, the machine over there is basically literally what they're saying when they say Jinzo Ningen Kikaida, Kikaida. So we said like Kikaider, but it was Kikaida. Anyway, so I learned a lot about the story, and one of the important points of the story is that Jinzo Ningen Kikaida is kind of like half is mechanical and half is human. So he's constantly fighting against his desire to be very cold and mean, I guess. So when the Dark, I think is his name, is playing that flute, it's like a magical flute that confuses Kikaida's heart, you know, and makes his consciousness like go the wrong way. Like, you know how everybody has a conscience, right? So it makes his conscience sort of lead into the wrong direction. So he is a beloved superhero, which I would kind of compare to the Hulk. So when I listened to the story, it was kind of like that. It's like trying to fight against something strong and bad in you, but then winning in the end, and you're a superhero, and he always saves that girl and her brother and all that, right? So Jiro Kikaida is a wonderful story, and the more I learn about it, the more I realize we actually, when we were watching Jinzo Ningen Kikaida, we were learning a lot about Japan and about the Japanese like bushi kind of samurai sort of thinking, okay? So yeah, that was a superhero when we were young. And then speaking of superheroes and motorcycles, because as you can see, here's the other Jinzo Ningen Kikaida thing I have. Look at that. Look, somebody gave me this because I did it in my speech, so somebody had collected it. It's Kikaida on his motorcycle, okay? So anyway, speaking of motorcycles, because Kikaida always rode a motorcycle, right? Jay Jarman story. Jay Jarman also loved motorcycles. He still has one, as a matter of fact. And a long time ago, do you guys remember cassette tapes? Remember that? Yeah? I used to do it too. So when I was teaching aerobics in college or whatever, we would actually, no, in Hawaii, yeah? We would be at Kalihi Union Church in the gym, like painting a wall or something. And what you do is, it was like super high tech. You put your cassette tape in the cassette tape radio combined machine that we had, and then when your song that you like comes on, you push the record button. So when you had mixes that time, it was kind of like it would stop and you'd hear the DJ's voice and then go to another song, and it was from the radio. It's so interesting. I love that history about our life. Anyway, so my dad, he was trying to make a really cool tape. Okay? Because what he would do is, instead of writing letters to people, which he would do a lot, he would also send cassette tapes of him talking to them. Like, hey, Bill, how you doing? He would send, cassette tapes, letters to his friends in the mainland. So he was like, oh, wow, I'm going to do something really cool. Okay? So he took his motorbike into his motorcycle into his office in the church, okay, near the gymnasium, right? The same place where he was, digging for gold and got in trouble. But this time, he took his motorcycle into the room, and he was going to make a cassette tape that sounded like he was on the freeway saying, how you doing, Bill? Nice to how you doing? Everything okay with you? Boom, boom, like that, right? So he set it all up in his room, in his office. Didn't want to make too much noise, so he closed the windows, closed the door, and, he puts the little recording device next to it, puts his cassette tape inside, clicks, record, and he's like, yeah, so I'm on the freeway in Honolulu, Like Highway right now. Boom, boom. How you doing recently? Yeah, we're doing a really good job. It's a beautiful day here in Japan, in Hawaii. Boom, boom, like that. And suddenly, as you can guess, he starts to feel lightheaded. And then he comes to his senses, yeah? And he says, oh no, here I am. I'm spitting out the bad fumes into the room, and it's getting caught, and I'm breathing it in. Oh no! And then he remembers that the bad stuff rises to the rises up, yeah? The bad air. So he immediately jumped off his motorcycle and lay on the ground. And is like crawling, go low, go low, go low. Lay on the ground, opens the door, and gets out into the gym. And I'm sure there were some people out there playing volleyball or whatever. They must have been very surprised to see Jay Jarman open the door, crawl out into the gym with his motorcycle still running. So I guess the moral of this story is probably not best to, run your motorcycle in your office. Most likely. Anyway, so that's a true story. And I guess I would like to conclude with the fact that for many of us, and I've seen from all your comments and everything, Jay Jarman is kind of like a superhero, like larger than life, really funny guy. And to me, the connection between Kikaida, the superhero in Japan, me learning Japanese, Jay Jarman, my superhero in Hawaii, is quite clear. So I hope you enjoyed this story, and there's many more to come, and I hope you have a great day. So aloha, bye bye.